So let's talk about how to prepare. Let's start with first new job. So this is one you are actively interviewing for. So first, like I said, you want to do your research. So first, you're going to start with the company average salaries that you can see on your own research, as well as some informational interviews. If you feel comfortable doing that before or during, you have a friend there, you can say, what's kind of the average salary for this position. They don't always know, but it's worth an ask. Position average salaries based on the region. So again, look at the DC area, look at what the average salary is for this area. What a project manager makes in DC is very different than what a project manager makes in Iowa. So that is why you got to look regionally. And then look at the cost of living calculator. So that is especially helpful for performance reviews as well. If they know what the cost of living is and they're offering you 55,000, that is clearly not going to be sufficient. So that's a really good way to say, listen, I'm trying to, accommodate for the cost of living in this area. That's why I'm requesting this amount. So use all of those to your advantage. Then you want to practice. This is not something you want to just casually wing because you will get nervous. Negotiation is not something a lot of people feel comfortable with. I myself was not comfortable at first when I first began exploring salary negotiation. So I would absolutely recommend practicing by yourself, practicing with a friend, someone like a coworker, friend, or something like that to say, okay, let's talk through what this would look like. You want to make sure you have your points down, your exact reasoning, you have things written down, you know exactly what you want to ask for, and you're prepared for possible outcomes that I will go over shortly. Because sometimes they say no to the dollar amount, but there's other things you can ask for. So definitely be practicing that. And then consider what money you want and then add 5 to 10K more. Because I promise you're probably a little bit under. And guess what? They're already lowballing you. They really want to pay you a little bit less than they have to. They may have a little bit more in the budget, but they always are going to go with the lower number because they know you're planning to negotiate. So already it's going to be a little bit lower. What you ask for, they're typically going to come back with a median. That's why you want to ask 5 to 10K more, knowing that they're going to come back and say, okay, we can't offer you 85, but we can offer you 80. So that's why you always want to ask for a little bit more. When you're going to the 15 to 20K more, that's when you start outpricing yourself. So 5 to 10K is still safe. You're not going to get your job taken away, an offer taken away for that number. That is like standard kind of range for salary negotiation. Then consider the other benefits that you could accept. So this is things like PTO, matching your 401k faster, a more flexible remote or hybrid schedule, at-home office stipend, a moving stipend if you happen to move cities, things like that. So there's a couple additional things that you can ask for. And then think of questions you can ask to start the conversation. So if they are not naturally coming up with this, usually when it will occur is at the end when they're offering you the job. You're going to say, hey, we're excited to offer this to you. We'll send over the paperwork, but we're able to offer you a salary of this. That's when you can say, excellent. Is there room for negotiation? I would love to discuss that. And if they say absolutely not, you can say, okay, well, can you explain a little bit more why, what the current range is, and if this is the top of the range. So then you can kind of dive in a little bit more there, but that is naturally when it's going to happen. As we all know, you never want to accept a job immediately when they offer it to you. You can say, thank you so much. I would love to think this over a little bit and see the documents you send over, and I will get back to you soon. So that gives you time to actually prepare for the salary negotiation, which can happen either via email or a phone call. So that naturally will come up usually at the end. So what about negotiating in a bureaucratic system, a university? That is a great question. Universities and the government are a little more intensive, just based on that they have those pay scales in place and things like that. So typically with university especially, they go based off of additional education certifications. That is like the sweet spot for them. So that will help in terms of if you want to move up to the next pay bump, if you get some type of PMP, if you get a certificate, something that would make you a little more higher than maybe the other people at your level, that will qualify you to be considered for that next salary bump. They also do it based on tenure. So depending on how long you've been there, as well as retention at the university, you can use both of those to your advantage to say, listen, I've been here 7 years. The average retention here is 2 to 3 years. So I have institutional knowledge that is simply unmatched. It is something that you need. It is something that I can provide you, and I would like to stay and make sure that I'm able to support myself and support you. So use things to your advantage that you already know you have. So I would say those two. And if they say no, don't be afraid to say, okay, so what would qualify me for a salary bump? What specifically are you looking for? So then at least you have a list of what you can go off of. And that's going to be true for the government as well. But government, they usually have very specific stuff already laid out for each GS level. So that's a little more concrete. Universities, you kind of have to dig a little bit more. But fantastic question. That was wonderful.